Hey, everybody, we have a new moon in Taurus coming up on the 19th of May, and it is a really good one, and it's not an eclipse. So it's something that if you want to do conscious work with the moon, you can work with. So I want to go into this. I want to show you all the nice things about it, give you a little bit of a heads up of things coming before and after, and we will dive in right away. Okay, so we want to look at this moon and I want to show you the chart so you can see everything that we're looking at and I can help you navigate reading this chart for the new moon. How do we know it's a new moon? Because the moon and the sun are conjunct at the perfect degree, 28, 25 in Taurus. So we know that this is a new moon. Now, we also know it's not an eclipse, even though the moon is still in the same sign as the node. The nodes help us recognize when there's going to be an eclipse because typically you'll find a lunation, a newer full moon, in the same sign as that node. However, if that lunation occurs more than 15 degrees away from the node, it's probably not going to be an eclipse. It's not close enough in declination for them to actually eclipse each other. So this is not a new moon. That's how you can look at a chart and say, oh, this is not an eclipse. That's how you can look at a chart and say, was this an eclipse or wasn't it? Is it within 15 degrees of a node? Then it was probably an eclipse. And if it's not, then it's just another lunation. This one being a new moon in Taurus, where the moon finds her exaltation, which is lovely. Again, there's a lot of things about this that help us understand that it's quite a nice new moon. First of all, one of the things you look for is the moon supported? And yeah, the moon is actually supportive. Even though the moon's in conjunction with the sun, it's a new moon. Yes, we understand that. But we have the support of Jupiter now here in Taurus. So the support of a conjunction by sign with the grand benefic. We also have a sextile by sign with the minor fortune, Venus. And not only that, but we have Venus in Cancer and the moon in Taurus. Venus rules Taurus, the moon rules Cancer. So they are in what is considered mutual reception. She's in her house and she's in her house. Like that's how it's working. They are two friends who basically gave each other a vacation and swapped houses for the day. And so Venus being in Cancer, where the moon rules, and the moon being in Taurus, where Venus rules, gives us this little extra support, especially on top of the sextile aspect that we're already experiencing. So the next thing we look at is there any conflict happening here? Is there any challenge? And that would usually come from our two troublemakers in the zodiac, the greater misfortune or the greater malefic, which is Saturn. Saturn brings structure, restrictions, those kinds of things, and also support if you go along with it, if it's something that you can work with. But Saturn will typically come in and give you a no. And it might be the no you need, but it might not be the no you want. Then you have Mars, who would probably create a little bit of instigation in situations. Fortunately, though, both of these are also in sextile aspect by sign. They are both in feminine polarity signs, or earth and water being of the more, some people call it nocturnal, yin, feminine, however you want to see it, the polarity between those two, positive and negative magnetism kind of thing, right? So if you think about the polarity, they are of the same polarity. They are of I prefer right now to use yin. We're still exploring as an astrological culture the best terms to use for this right now, but that's where I'm landing today. But you can use whatever terms work best for you. As long as you understand what the meaning of it is, it works, right? So we see that they are sharing that quality of the sign as well, which creates that sextile aspect. This nice light blue line here shows you what that looks like in action. And so even the malefics are in supportive aspect. They're not in a place where they can challenge the lunation, which would be if they were in conjunction, if they were also in Taurus, if they were in square. So if they were in this case, a 90-degree angle in any case, but also if they were in Aquarius or Leo at this point, or in opposition. Opposition, of course, will create some tension. So if either of them were in Scorpio, we'd say, there might be some challenge here, but they aren't. So we have this beneficial, supported from all sides lunation going on. The only thing I want to bring up is that we're still experiencing some of this square between Jupiter and Pluto happening on a more transpersonal scale, a social scale. I did a whole video on this already, so you can check that in my library of videos here. You can see a little bit more about that and learn more about how that works. And then over the coming days, you can see Mars is at 29 degrees Cancer. So he's just about to tip over into Leo, which means he will come into that opposition we were mentioning with Pluto. This, because Mars is a more personal planet, may be something we recognize in our communities, in our lives, some kind of tension happening to go along with this. And I will likely talk about it a little more. You can look at the conjunction of Mars and of Pluto to see more about what happened when they conjoined and what midpoint of story we are in with that. And in fact, this did coincide with events that happened in late February and early March of 2022. So if you recall back to that time and think about conflicts that kind of shook the world and that have been going on since then, you'll know that this actually does seem to coincide with certain events that sparked off in Europe last year with fighting and things like that. So thinking about that, we might see a new plot point in the unfolding of that story, which again is something that you might see in the headlines. Pluto's making this about something that is going to change society over a long term. So that's something that we are noticing. It began last February, last March, and it is unfolding now, and we're seeing the midpoint of it. So something to keep in mind as we think about that. But again, that's not today. That's not this day with the new moon. That is the next week. And so what we're looking at is quite a nice new moon. One that I recommend if you're looking to work with intention during a moon. This is a nice one. It definitely works if you're looking into the manifesting techniques and things like that. So I would bring this together as a moon that is about inspiration to bring new and tangible ventures that excite you and feel supportive into your life. You notice that we do still have Uranus here close by. So creating excitement, creating change, bringing something new and something you're ready to do into your life is a great opportunity right now. Mercury is also forming an exact sextile with Saturn this day. So there's a lot of supported ideas, supported planning, ability to make a list and actually structure it and put it together. And in fact, that's what I recommend you do. Create an actionable plan, even if it's something small or the steps are small for now. If it makes you feel happy and it doesn't hurt anybody else, feel free to see if you can help yourself make that happen. An affirmation that I would suggest if you're looking for one right now is, I am prepared to create abundance. And that is what I'm very excited about for this moon. I'm excited to just soak it in, let myself be comfortable. You know, as a Taurus sun, this is sort of my element. And for everybody else out there, I hope you are having a wonderful, comfortable, safe feeling time as well. If you're looking to dive deeper into astrology, or you want someone to help you understand astrology so that you don't have to, I can do both of those things for you. You can work with me directly through my website, where I can either teach you astrology if you want to learn more about it, or I can become your lifestyle strategist, psychic, astrologer, coach, anything you want. You can see everything on my website, and I would love to be able to get to know you on a more personal level. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy this wonderful new moon in Taurus.